So just to further illustrate what I'm talking about with the advantage of using word styles, here I have two identical documents. The one on the left, sample document without styles. So this doesn't actually have any styles, and this is what I see quite often, where you'll have a document and it's all in the same style. Now if I turn on the apply styles box, you see that that's normal style, and we come down and we have chapter 1, normal style, all the subtitle, normal style, and that's how the document goes. And the problem is, it probably won't do this now, but later on, if I, let's say, change the title, I want to make this larger. Say if I make that up to 20, now that's fine, that'll go to 20. Then I'll save the document and close it down. The next time I open, now Word has to remember that this normal style is 20, whereas the others here is, as you can see on the ribbon, is 16. So it has to remember all these little changes. Now of course, if this is a long document and I want this one to be, let's say I want that one to be 18, I'm going to move, yeah, that stays at 20, this has also got to be 18, and then I go through and I do it all that. Now Word has to remember every single time that this one's, even though they're all normal style, this one's 20, this one's 18, this one's also 18, and then if I, let's say I want to italicize that text, which it doesn't stand out particularly great, then it also has to remember this one as well, this little character formatting, and it has to do that through the entire document. Now if it's just something small like a 1-page or a 2-page, it's not so much of a problem. But if it goes into 30-40 page documents and you're using the same style for bullets, numbered lists and things like that, then it's a huge overhead in what Word actually has to do. Now with the faster processors, again, it's not that much of a problem, but the risk is that you're losing control over what you're actually doing, because if I click on the modify button, then okay, it's not showing here, but there's a little tick box here saying automatically update. Now if you accidentally tick that, then it would update the document with whatever formatting is actually selected at that moment in time, which will completely screw up your entire document. But now what we're going to do is we're going to come over to the document on the right, the sample document with styles, and as you can see, I mean, before I made the changes it was exactly the same as the one on the left. But of course now, turn on the apply styles, now I've applied the title style to the title. Now I have my heading 1, and now I have my normal text there. Normally I would use body text as opposed to normal, but there's other reasons for that which I'll come onto in another video at a later date, but it's just personal preference. And then I click on chapter 1 and I can see that it's a heading 1, whereas if I come across to my other document it's still normal, but again they look exactly the same. I come down to subtitle, and I've actually called this heading 2. Word does have a subtitle style built in, but for the purpose of my document, even though I'm calling it a subtitle, in terms of the document hierarchy, it's a heading 2. Okay, and that's how I want it to happen. And then I come down to chapter 2 and so on and so forth. Come over to the left document, and again it's normal style. Now this doesn't actually mean that much in terms of what we've got here, but because it's pretty basic. But let's say for example I wanted to do something different, so I click on home, or okay, because I've got the split screen, I'll click on title. Now I can do, in my sample document without styles, now I can make that bold and I can underline it. Great, that's normal style. I can make the heading, that one bold, I can bold, italicize that, and I can go through and I can do that in my entire document, which is, in a small document, is not that long. However, if I come over across to the title and then I click on modify and I make that bold and underline, that's what happens. And then I come down to heading 1 there, and then I make that bold, and they're all bold. I come down to heading 2, or I don't even have to come down to heading 2. If I can find it in the ribbon, there it is. I right click, modify, select bold, italic, and there we go. And that's done. And that's all from one area, and I don't have to go through the document. And the other thing, of course, is I can't miss one, because Word tracks and tags each of these particular styles. So if you change the style, it changes it in the document. But of course Word now only has to remember that the title has bold and underlined. Heading 1 is just the same as before but bold, and heading 2 was bold italicized. Whereas with the other one, it's got to remember where it is in the document, it's got to remember what style it has, and it has to get it right every single time. Otherwise, your document's going to look different and it could corrupt. And like I say, if you've got a long document, then this can and will corrupt at some point. I did work for a client a couple of years ago. Her Word document was like 21 megabytes and it was 200 pages of normal style. Honestly, it was crazy. By the time I'd finished and applied all the styles, her document was 2 megabytes in size, because Word has to remember all this information. And of course that's going to slow your PC down. With computers nowadays, they're very much faster, but why make it difficult for yourself? There's no point. There really isn't. But here's other advantages of using Word. Now if I click on, I can't see the view, there it is. If I click on navigation pane, that's what I get. I get nothing in my without styles box. If I do the same in my with styles, this is what I get. So I get chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and I can navigate, which is brilliant. But then of course, let's say this is at the wrong level, then I can demote that. Conversely, I can promote it, but I can also move it up, move that one down, whereas I can't do that in my other document. Let's say, for example, I decide at a later date, not necessarily this document, but another document, that I want a table of contents. So I click on references, and then I insert my table of contents, and there you go, and it automatically picks that up. And then all I need to do is change that style, and we're good. Still don't like that, so I'm going to modify it and centralize it. But that's just an example. But again, now how long would that take me to do that manually? It's just wasting time. And this is the beauty that Word gives us. But also there's things like I can search. If I do Control H to find and replace. So let's say I want to find format, and I want to find a heading 2, and then I want to replace that with this is called find what text. So it's finding the text that you're searching for, and a heading 2, and then I want to make those into heading 3. I haven't formatted heading 3, but heading 3, and let me make them red text. So it's heading 3, font color red. So then I'll do find next, replace, 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 replace. Okay, cool. I'll update my table of contents, and my subtitles have now been demoted, but I'll scroll through the document, and there you can see now I've got heading 3. It's now subtitle. Now I don't like that, and I want it to go back to how it was, so I could do Control Z undo, but for the purpose of this I'm going to use my find and replace again. So now I'm going to look for my style heading 3, and then I want to replace that. I'll get rid of the formatting, then I'll do formatting style, replace that with heading 2, and then I'll just do replace all, done. There we go, and there's my subtitle. But of course the font style is now red because that's a character style which I applied. So I come back to the home, I clear formatting, and then I reapply heading 2. And that's just one of the problems with using character styles, is because they have a preference over So I was doing about 5 things at once there. So character styles take precedence over paragraph styles. That's why I'm now clearing the formatting. But imagine how difficult this would be if I didn't have my styles applied. It would take me forever. And if it's a long document and you miss one, it's going to be a nightmare. So there we go. Back up to my title, update field, and there we go. There's my document again. And like I say, if you're working with long documents and you're not using styles, then you're opening yourself up to a nightmare. So let's just put this back to, we want to get rid of the bold, and heading 2, we want to get rid of the bold italics, and then I want to put my title back also, so we get rid of the bold and the underlined. There we go, and the table of contents is automated. You don't have to do anything. Whereas doing all this manually with the without styles document is a nightmare, and that's one of the reasons why Word is so powerful if it's used correctly.